So we are officially starting Objective-C programming, or object-oriented programming in Objective-C. For brand new people, I'll give you like a little overview of everything. I only have like one or two. Actually, I see some new faces though. You have some new people. You're new? You're not new. You're new? You're not new. You're just pretending to be new. So, I like to see all the MacBooks. We got a lot of MacBooks. That's excellent. So I'm converting this entire campus to Mac people. This is excellent. No more Windows computers. Do not bring Windows computers to my class. So, all right, what do we got going on here? The focus of this class is on Objective-C programming and Objective-C syntax. It is done on a MacBook, which is why I made that joke. It's not really a joke, it's actually reality. You need a MacBook in order to do this. I tried to warn you guys like months ago, and I warned you again on Friday. If you don't have a MacBook, you're not going to be able to do any of the things that we're doing in this class. If you want, you can spend, and I had some people, I just taught this class last weekend, or a couple weekends ago. I have 2 sessions of it going on, and which is kind of weird because they stuck the video for the first session in the EMS class for this session. This session hasn't even started yet, so that confused some people. This is the first class meeting. It hasn't gone the 21st and 22nd of September. That was the other class, but they put the video in the wrong class. But anyway, in terms of what you need, the Mac supports Objective-C. If you don't have a Mac and you're using a Windows machine, you'll have to struggle with figuring out how to get it to work. I'm not going to show you how because I seriously don't even know how. I just go out and get a MacBook. But if you have a Windows machine, I've heard that, and then the last time I taught this class, there were several students who were able to successfully do this. They installed VirtualBox or Parallels or one of the virtual machine softwares on the Windows system, and then they put Mac OS X inside of the virtual machine. And some of them even downloaded complete virtual machines that they were able to run. Problem is that when you do that, make sure you get the current, so you can get the current Xcode, otherwise you can't get Xcode. So I'm going to tell you guys how to get Xcode. If you don't have Xcode right now, you're going to need to get Xcode. So I'm going to give you those instructions so that you guys can be doing that while I'm giving you the syllabus information of the class orientation, so we can multitask here a little bit because we're going to use Xcode in this particular class, and some people are new to this. I can tell by all the brand new shiny MacBooks, so which I'd love to see. So, all right, so if you are a brand new Mac person and you bought a MacBook or you brought your friend's MacBook, which is not a bad idea as well, make sure you got Xcode. In order to get Xcode, you want to get it from the Apple Store. If you go into Software Update, it will take you to the Apple Store. If you're working with an older MacBook that does not have OS X, does not have the current Lion or Mountain Lion, actually you need Mountain Lion at this point. If you don't have that, you can't get Xcode from the Apple Store. It's going to require that you upgrade, unfortunately. Oh, I have a software update. Look at this. So 10.8 point something is the current version of the operating system. What is this one for? Supplemental updates. Here, I'll update this while I'm doing this. So, oops, no, I'm not restarting. So, anyway, so what you want to do is type in Xcode up here in the far right-hand corner. If you do that, you'll see a little icon that comes up. Mine says it's installed. If yours is installed, don't reinstall it unless you want to. If you have an older MacBook and it says it's installed, you can use it. You don't have to use the current Xcode. You're only going to get the current Xcode if you have the current operating system. It's kind of chicken before the egg kind of catch. So, so if you don't have it, this says, you know, free. It's not paid for. It's free. Click on it, install it. It's about 2 gigs, so it's going to take about an hour or so to install, which is why I'm having you do it now. So, otherwise, if it is installed, you may not see it. It might not be in the dock. It might not be on the computer. So you can click on the little magnifying thing up here, a little spotlight, and type in Xcode. And it'll show you, hopefully, in the Applications folder where Xcode is, and then it'll load Xcode. And then I would basically, if you're brand new to the Mac, I would actually just go into the Applications folder and pull the Xcode icon out, which is going to be right here, and just drag it to the dock. I see mine's in the dock already, so I don't have to do that. but drag it to the dock and you'll see that it will make it easier to find it in the future. So go ahead and install Xcode if you don't have it installed. Where is everybody? I thought we had like 40 people, 40-something people in this class. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got about 32. We're missing about 10 people. It's interesting. Okay. All right, so the focus is going to be on Objective-C programming and its syntax, design, features, capabilities. I'm going to use iOS and probably, well, I'm going to use iOS 7 actually as the platform. Objective-C programming is done on a Mac and it's done on iOS. So most people don't like the Mac. Well, I'll do some command line stuff in the first couple of lectures, but most people, you know, they're interested in doing iPhone, iPad development, which is what this is for. So we'll do all of our hello worlds and stuff on the iPhone. Makes it more interesting. If you have an iPhone with you, or actually sometime this weekend or even the next weekend, you want to hook it up. ITU has a developer's account, so has a student developer's account, so you can get a free developer account. What does that mean? You can actually install your apps on your device and run your device and test your device through Xcode. You can't do that without paying $99 otherwise. If you want to put something in the App Store, you want to sell your app, put it in the App Store, or even if you don't sell it, you just put it in there for free. You got to give Apple $99 a year and sign up for your own account. This one's just for students. So if you want a free one, let me know. Bring your device. I get your device number, and we go through an entire public-private key exchange thing, and there's a little bit of a process, and then we set you up. Later on, I'll be demoing how the device actually works, so you'll see how it works. But I wouldn't run out and buy a device if you don't have a device already, because we have built-in emulators, what we're going to see this morning, so you don't need it. And if you've ever done the Android development, I think you guys are on my end, you'll see this is so much nicer. This is just so much nicer than Android. So I probably shouldn't be saying that while recording, but and this is like the Taj Mahal of devices versus the bargain basement Android stuff. It's like the difference between the Mac operating system and then the Windows operating system. Anyway, enough of that. All right, so what are we looking at? Concepts, techniques, strategies, application development, understanding Objective-C as a language, looking at various different types of applications that we can build, building types of applications, very much a tutorial-driven course. I'm going to try and make this as painless as possible as a weekend course. We're going to stay here for 8 hours, but hopefully you're going to be entertained with different projects. By the end of today, we'll build a tic-tac-toe game and a puzzle. Actually, the puzzle is really cool. And we'll reverse a string and do a bunch of other stuff just by the end of today, actually. And then tomorrow we'll do more stuff. So the theory is to entertain you while hopefully educating you. And then you get practice at the same time. You get experience building apps. This is why I was trying to tell everybody ahead of time, bring a computer with you, because you'll get more out of the class if you have a computer with you. Otherwise, you'll be forced to check your email all day for 8 hours. Not so much fun. Or play online or whatever it is you do. So. All right, so the way that the class is going to work, we have a final exam. It's done during the last weekend of the course if you're brand new to ITU, and this is why I'm doing this with the new people. I do see a couple new faces. It's mandatory. It's the last weekend. It is on a Sunday at 3 o'clock. And if you are really brand new and you've never had my classes before, so you might not be new to ITU, but you may have never had any of my classes, you want to go to www.bhecker.com. Hecker is my last name. My first name is Barbara, so bhecker.com, which actually is my email address. So it's bhecker@itu.edu. So all you have to do is remember bhecker. Then you got me. You can find me online. The YouTube website's bjhecker because bhecker was taken. So, but my middle name is Jill, so J for Jill. So bjhecker. All right, so if you go into fall 2013, and if you go down, oops, we're going to have the internet challenge today. Is that how things are going to work? Yeah. Not working? The internet is not working. Are you serious? Oh, no, it's working. It's not working? How many people are having problems accessing the internet? Wow. Wow. Okay, let me, the IT guy is actually here. He's the one that gave me this mic. So let me just tell them that there is a problem because how many people are trying to download Xcode? No, but we still need internet access because you still need to download the lecture stuff. So, okay, let me pause this for a second. All right, so apparently the internet access is a little spotty, but it's working a little bit. They're working on the problem. At least they're familiar with it, or they're aware of the situation. All right, so if you go into SCN 970 and you look at, you see the two sections are in here. We see the meeting times. This is October 12th. So this is our weekend. Then we don't meet again for another month till November. And then we don't meet again for another month after that. I actually like the spacing. It's better than having like 2 weekends in a row. Not bad. Too much? Yeah, well. Anyway, so if you go into the link, I'm still going over the syllabus and the assignments that are going to be due. See, I like this because I can just talk over everybody. And I just turn the volume up if I don't like the volume. All right, so we have the syllabus. This is for brand new people, by the way. So we have the syllabus here, and I have some free legal ebooks. So if you click on the ebooks link, I have access. You see that there's a bunch of books here. I do not have a book for the course. I did not assign a book for the course. However, some of you are going to need a book for the course. These are free. They're not illegal downloads. Most of them are older versions. Doesn't really matter. Objective-C hasn't changed at all in the last 20 years. So it's the same language. Actually, from the history I'm going to give you later on, you'll find out it's back from like the 1980s. Same language. Hasn't changed at all. So the older books are actually, some of them are really good, actually, and they're free. So here's one that says, Pro Objective-C. I've never actually looked at this one. The one that actually I sort of like are the ones down here, Objective-C Fundamentals. That's a good one. And then also the Head Start, iPhone, and iPad development. It's all in Objective-C. So what you're going to do is go through here, find one that you like, and fill in the pieces for your background knowledge as to what you know and what you don't know, because everybody has a slightly different programming experience. And depending upon what languages you've programmed in the past, you're going to have a different problem area or a different need in terms of extra information. Because what I'm going to do is give you the entire language, but I'm going to give it to you kind of quickly. And you're not going to be able to, well, unless you've worked with Objective-C before, you're probably not going to be able to remember everything. So the book is also kind of helpful. So we have a final exam. It is mandatory along with the attendance. That's not in the grading policy. I don't grade on attendance, but attendance is mandatory, as you probably have figured out already. The university threatens you a lot in the beginning until you learn the rules. You can miss 2 full days of a weekend class and still pass it. You miss more than that, they're not going to give you a grade. The days have 2 opportunities for attendance, in the morning and in the afternoon. So you could possibly miss an entire day by missing 2 mornings or 2 afternoons, or a morning and an afternoon. So unfortunately you have to be here all day, but as I was mentioning before, I'm going to try and make it exciting, so we'll see what happens. So the exam will be at 3 o'clock on weekend number 3, so it means you don't want to miss the 3rd weekend, because if you miss the 3rd weekend, you miss the final exam, so that's the no-brainer. So it's usually this weekend or the next weekend that people miss. Usually I get more of the next weekend than the first weekend, especially for new people, because they're sort of not familiar with what's going on. So they're sort of curious about the class, so they'll show up the first weekend, and then the second weekend's when I'm gonna see some people gone, especially after I tell them that they can take an entire weekend off. Then they go, oh. But here's the catch, and this has happened, and it did happen. It actually happened with 3 students in the last term. They took a weekend off completely, and then they accidentally showed up late, like 5 minutes late for attendance, and then they failed the course. You're cutting it close to the edge. If you take 2 days off completely and something happens, like you're in the restroom or you're running a little bit late, the bus schedule's running late, or something happens and you miss just 1 attendance time, they're not going to make any exceptions for you. You're going to fail the class. So it's safe to take, I think personally it's safe to take 1 day off, because everybody in here will miss an attendance. It just happens that way. Like 90% of you will miss an attendance just because, you were walking back in, or they took it at 9 I have more people now than I did at 9. They could have gone at 9:15 and taken attendance. You would have missed it. So if that happens to you and you are already taking an entire weekend off, you're not going to be able to pass the class. They give you a D-. So just going to threaten you with that, warn you. It's not really a threat, it's just a warning, because there's so many people that end up in that situation, and I go, well, why didn't you just show up? So if you're going to take an entire weekend off, make sure you're here like a half hour before the class starts, and you hang around during lunch and you come back when you're supposed to after lunch, so that you don't actually have a problem with the attendance. The rest of the class is all programming assignments. So there's 6 of them that you're going to do. I'm going to go over the first 3 today. So when you go home and you come back the next time, you'll be able to at least do some work in between. All of the assignments are due at the very last day of class. If you go into the EMS, and let me just show you the differences here. So bhacker.com is going to give you the materials. So let me bring up bhacker.com here. And on bhacker.com, well, if it were to come up, you'd see download materials, and you're downloading, you'll find the syllabus there, you'll find the materials, here it is, for the course. It's not an upload place, it's just a download place, and there's no login or anything required. I do this because some people don't have access to the EMS, or the EMS goes down, or something goes wrong. So the ems.itu.edu is where you're going to upload assignments. And for this particular class, I'm just right now, I'm just going to check the due dates for you. We are section 2 here. If I go into the class, I should see that the due dates for everything is in December. Let's just see what happens. We have 48 in this class, so that's good. That's a small class. Usually it's like 75 in some classes. 48 is pretty small. Anyway, so yes, the due date is set for December 16th. So we got December 16th, and the December 20th is, I guess, going to be our final exam. That's like really close to Christmas. So, anyway, questions about the materials for the course. I felt like I went through that kind of fast. Everything's loaded. Actually, you can find the lectures on bhacker.com as well. So let's see. What did I miss? We have the assignments. They're all programming assignments. Some of them will require Xcode. Some of them will require... you have options. You don't have to learn iOS in this course. You can get by without learning anything about the iPhone, iPad development. You can do it all on the Mac if you wanted to. Or you can take the iOS route. Some people are more interested in building iOS programs, so that's the focus I'm going to take, actually. So do we have any questions about the syllabus or the way that the course is going to run, or any of the requirements or anything? Yes?
So I have a Windows system and I haven't installed the VirtualBox yet, but I have done a little ObjectiveC programming before, where I compiled and ran the ObjectiveC code using Sigwin and Ming.
Yeah, that works as well.
So with that,
that's perfect.
Okay for the first
few
assignments?
Yeah, you can do that.
Alright.
Because the first few assignments are not GUI based.
Okay.
And if you want, you don't have to do the other ones that are GUI. You don't have to do them GUI. You can do them command line.
Yeah.
So so she raised an excellent question. If you have what is it? It's like not UC Linux. It's a form of Linux that runs on Windows, Sigwin or something like that. And then you load in. There's a GNU library for New Step.
Yeah.
Or Next Step. I think it's called GNU Step. Yeah, I am familiar with that. If you Google GNU Step, you'll find the downloads for it. If you've got that working, more power to you. You don't need a MacBook. You can do it all on that.
Okay.
So. Okay, very good. All right, so for those of people who have a MacBook and you have Xcode installed, if you go into Xcode, I forgot to tell you something else, you're probably going to want the command line tools as well, although you don't need them. So once you open up Xcode, you're going to get the current iOS 7. If you're looking, you're sitting around kind of thinking, well, what can I do now while she's talking? You can actually populate your Xcode with more libraries that we're probably going to find helpful. So I have installed the simulators from 5.1 to 6.0. you don't necessarily have to, but this is the one you're probably going to want to install, is the command line tools. The command line tools give you the GCC. Are we good? Oh yes, we had, hold on one second, let me pause this for a second. Okay, so as I was showing you, the command line is, this is how the GNU step actually works, because it's command line. It's a GCC compiler compatible library. When you install it from Xcode, you get it, but you can't get it unless you have Xcode. So if you don't have Xcode, then you get the GNU step, or the whatever it's called. Because you can type in GCC now, and you'll see that you get the C-Lane compiler that comes out of it, so that you can compile Objective-C code from a command line, which is what you're going to do if you don't have Xcode or you don't have a MacBook. So for those people who are thinking, they're on Windows and they're thinking, oh, maybe I can find a solution, this is the interface you'll be working with, the command line interface, and you'll be using GCC along with, actually I probably have some, I probably have a file here already. Let's see. Oops, not in the desktop. Well, I'll have to find it. And you'll be using a command line. And when I start the first lecture, I'll show you the command line interface as well. All right, any other questions before we get started with Objective-C? That was the syllabus. So 6 assignments due in December, 1 final exam, 3 weekends, yada yada with the attendance. You're all good. Okay, very good. So I'm going to stop this recording and start another one.